considering other locations to hold the 9/11 terror trials. But does that mean that plans for a federal trial in New York have officially been dropped? That's not enough for our next guests.
We're joined by Tim Brown, retired New York City firefighter and survivor of the 9/11 attacks, and retired New York City Fire Chief Jim Riches, who lost his son in the attacks. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being here. Tim, let me start with you. Are you heartened today to hear that the White House will probably be looking for other options and not holding it in New York City?
Absolutely. It's a step in the right direction. The letter that we sent the president back in November goes further than that, though. It talks about trying them in a military tribunal, which is what we still believe. This is a good step in that direction. I think that it's difficult to get the Obama administration to listen, but I think they are beginning to listen now, and we want them to listen to what the letter says, and it says military tribunal.
And there was so much outrage, of course, here, not only money, but the infrastructure, security here in Lower Manhattan. Jim, you were at Guantanamo Bay. You saw Khalid Sheikh Mohammed admit publicly that he was responsible for your son's death and for the 9/11 attacks in general. Was this enough going forward to have to be able to try him in a civilian court for you? What did you want to see have happen?
Well, I want to see justice. 8 years later, we have no accountability. went down to Guantanamo. He got up in the courtroom, said he was proud that he killed all children and that he called for jihad against America. He cursed out the military personnel in the courtroom. It was a complete travesty of justice, and I wanted to see him, they stopped the trial down there. They said they were going to review it for 10 months. They reviewed it for 10 months, and then they came up with the wrong problem, not knowing that New York had a security problem. So I think they dropped the ball mightily.
And Jim, after you saw that episode in court where KSM admitted publicly to killing your son and the scores of others, you talked to President Obama. Did you share with him your impression of KSM and of the trial down there?
Yeah, and I told him, I said, this guy's standing up saying he's proud he killed our people. We want justice. We demanded, why did you stop the military trials? He feels that federal trials are the way to go, and we said, okay, if you're going to do it that way, the ball's with you. But you promised us swift and certain justice, and we haven't gotten it yet. There was 8 years of bumbling by the Republicans. It seems like we're back to the same thing. The families want justice, and we're not getting it.
Some people argue, Tim, that we can't let these guys just sit in prison for the rest of their lives and sort of rot in prison. Do you have a problem with having this guy, that we might 5 years from now get more intelligence from this guy, letting him basically rot in prison after what he did?
Do I? I personally not at all. Along with Jim, we lost a lot of our friends, and nothing could be bad enough for these scum. And if it means rotting away, that's fine with me. They are war criminals, enemy combatants. And one of the things that I read yesterday was from Senator Feinstein, her letter to the president, where she talks about this is a continuation of plots against the United States by Al-Qaeda. And what she's saying there is that this is a war, and the president doesn't get it. So Senator Feinstein is the chairman of the House Select Committee on Intelligence. She gets it. Yeah. And so, this is a war, and we're blowing it with civilian trials.
All right, Tim Brown, Jim Riches, thanks for coming on and sharing your personal stories with us. And I'm sure we'll talk to you as this all unfolds with the decision. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Well, coming